instead of holding his first meeting as the chairman of the empowered group of ministers on Telecom, Sharad Pawar postponed the meeting, then quit as the head, saying he is doing so to avoid vested interests dragging him into a controversy. He wrote to the Prime Minister, who accepted his request, but now the big question is who will replace him when the 2G spectrum pricing has to be decided by August.
On a day when Sharad Pawar, as the chairman of the newly constituted group of ministers on spectrum, should have decided on issues of spectrum, Mr Pawar sprung a surprise. He wrote a letter to the Prime Minister asking himself to be recused from this responsibility. Mr Pawar in his letter says that certain vested interests might drag his name in yet another controversy. There is a history or a background to this letter. Mr Pawar had earlier been associated, or his name was actually been associated with Shahid Balwa, one of the key accused in the 2G scam. Mr Pawar on his part, of course, denied that he had anything to do with Mr Balwa, and he does not know or have any links with Shahid Balwa, but nonetheless the opposition as well as media reports kept associating Mr Pawar with Shahid Balwa. And given the fact that telecom sector is a highly lobbied sector, Mr Pawar was very clear that he did not want to be part of any group of ministers, at least as chairman, that decides on allocation of spectrum and cancellation of licenses. Motives can be attributed to him, and that's why he wanted to stay away from it. So now the government has to find a replacement for Mr Pawar, and going by seniority, in all likelihood, it is going to be A.K. Antony who will now head this group of ministers. But Mr. Antony has a tough task, as he has to decide on the issue of allocation of spectrum and cancellation of licenses by August 31st, the deadline set by the Supreme Court. On the other hand, telecom companies are stiffly opposed to the mention of auction, or rather the suggestion and recommendations of the telecom regulator TRAI. So can Mr. Antony and his colleagues meet this deadline and satisfy the telecom industry? These are some questions that the government will now have to mull over.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app, fully optimized for retina display, full screen view, faster response time, and Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.